Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will talk about operators with C# and .NET. Operator in C# refer or use to perform the operation between two operands. So if you have two variables or operands which you would like to perform, on which you would like to perform any of the operation, then you can use the operand, then you can use the operators available with C#. The simplest possible operator we have with C# is the assignment operator. As you can see on my screen in the console application, we have an integer data type with a variable num having the value as in 5 assigned to it, and same the num2, same integer value, another integer value, another integer variable having a value assigned 10 to it. Now if you look at carefully, we are using this character to assign the value to these variables, and this character is nothing, it is a assignment operator. This is one of the simplest operator you might have seen by now many times, because whenever we assign a variable to a value to a variable, we use this assignment operator. There are a variety of different types of operators available with C#. We'll take a look at some of these in this demonstration. Let's talk about a arithmetical type of operator. It is a type of operator which helps you to perform mathematical calculations within your program on two different operands. What do I mean? Let's say if I would like to add these two numbers, let's say I have a int as in result, and I want to add these two numbers num1 and num2 like this. I can simply create use this plus sign. So this plus sign is nothing, it is a plus operator or the addition operator which we can use, and the C# compiler detect this as an addition symbol to add the left side of operand and right side of operand. Now if we simply run that, you will see that it will add these two numbers and the value will be stored into a result variable and displayed onto the console window. Similarly, we have other operators or the arithmetic operator type available which we can use in our program as and when we need. For an example, we have subtraction operator with this dash symbol, multiplication operator which we can use with this star symbol, divide operator which we can use with this forward slash symbol, and module operator which we can use with this percentile symbol. If I try and run this program, that will give me a result of each of these operators on these two numbers. As you can see, the result of adding these two numbers, 10 plus 20 is 30, subtracting these two numbers is 10, multiplication is 200, divide 2, and module operator as in 20, as in 0. Now it is also, now here in this example we are always adding two numbers which are having a value as in variable, but it is also possible you can use the literal type to add the values of the number. Let's say I'm using plus operator between these two literal values, which is 10 and 30. You can also combine the literal and the variables together. For an example, in this case I will combine the value of the operator between the literal type and the number type using the subtract operator. You can also combine the multiple operators together let's say I would like to combine the num1 plus num2 and subtract by num2 like this, and that will also result into a valid value. Let me rerun the program again. As you can see that we have got our program successfully run and the results are getting displayed. Now these mathematical operators are having a specific preference of execution. For example, divide always takes precedence over subtraction, addition, and divide, multiplication. Similarly, we have the multiplication takes precedence over subtraction and divide, subtraction and addition. Then addition takes precedence over the subtraction, and subtraction has the least precedence. And this precedence basically goes from left to right. So whichever comes left between these two, for example, these two are grouped together in the mathematical calculation. So whichever comes first on the left side, that takes precedence, and whichever comes right, that takes less precedence. And this goes to the these two operators as well. As an assignment, you can perform the multiplication, or you can perform the multiple operators on these two, on these using these operators. For example, I could have this minus 18 into 3 divided by 5 minus 4. So this is how you can perform various calculation, and let's look at if result, what exactly the result looks like. So result is 16, and it is all because of the precedence of the execution of these operators. So you can calculate how it has been resulted into 16 and keep a track of this execution order. Now let's talk about other type of operators which we can use in our C# program. So the other one is the assignment operator, which we have discussed slightly about it in our previous example. With the help of assignment of a variable to some value, as in num1 equals to 20, which is one of the assignment operator. Now there are some other type of assignment operator as well which we can use. For example, I can use the plus assignment operator with plus equals to and the value like this, and then I can simply display the value as I need to use. Let me just use the result here. Next, we have the variable assignment which we can use with a subtraction. In this case, I'm going to use a subtraction with number 5. You can do it like this. Similarly, multiplication, divide, you can also perform with these assignment operators. Let's run the execution and we'll see the result. Here we are just now printing the 25, so it's basically adding, or it's basically num1 is having the value. So first num1 would be 20, then on top of that we are adding 20 plus 10, so it will be 30, then we are subtracting by 5, so that's why it is going to be a 25. Let me show you a full example of all these operators. So what we are doing it here is we are trying to initialize the value of x with 15, then adding the value 10, a value by 10, so it's going to be act like as x equals to x plus 10, and the result is going to be 25 as it is given here. Similarly, I can use the assignment subtraction operator, reassigning the x is equal to 20, again subtracting x by 5, which is going to be x equal to x minus 5, so it will be result into value 15. Same goes to multiplication, divide, and module operation as well. And here is the result which you can see. You can pause the video and look at the result, how it has been calculated. That is, the comment is given an example or the representation how the compiler will calculate or perform the calculation of these arithmetic equal to or arithmetic assignment operator. So relational operators are basically used to perform the comparison between two operands. So the operators could be equal to operator, which are used with this double equal to sign. Then it could be not equal to, which is used with not an equal sign. Then it could be greater than equals to or greater than, or it could be less than equals to or less than sign. So these are the some example of a sign relational operator which we can use in our program. I'll show you one example. How do you do that? So let me just use this code. So here is the two number. We are using two numbers with, here's the two number we are using with equal to operator, and result of these two values. Here are the two numbers which we are using to compare using the equal operator, which is going to show the result. Let me rerun the program and then we'll talk about it. Here in this case, you can see that number 1 equals to number 2, which is obviously going to return false. So as I said, this relational operator always returns Boolean value. Based on the comparison of the relational operator, it will return the true or false as a result. Usually use this in your if and else or conditional block to flow your logic. So here are all the examples. You can combine all these together. For example, you can combine equals to and this together if you have a requirement to do that. And how do you combine that? To combine these operators together, you use the logical operator. Now let's talk about these logical operator, what these are. So we have two logical operator, a logical AND and logical OR operator. Logical AND is referred or used with double AND sign, and logical OR is referred with OR symbol, which is a double pipe characters, right? So you can see that in this example, and this always runs on a Boolean value, right? So here in the example, x is equal to true, y is equal to false, then x and y, if both of them are true, then z becomes true. If x or y either of the true, then z becomes true. If x is not true, then z becomes true, right? Let me rerun the program again, and here is the result. X and y, both of them are not true, so result z is false. X or y, one of them is true, so z is true. X is true, so not of true is false, so which means that 0 multiplied by 1 is 0, so it is returning false. 0 means false, so that's why we have a result as in 0 here. Now give you one example by combining both together. So let's say this is going to return a result. So let's say this is going to return one result, right, which is going to be true or false. Now what I can do it here, I can do it like this, and this should not be greater than, okay, so and then we can print the result here like this. So this is going to return true or false. This is again going to return Boolean, and then on these two Boolean values we can apply the logical AND or logical OR operator. So let's rerun again and see the result. So as the result, we have got true as in result because num2 is greater than num1, which is true, and also both of them are not equals, so which is also true. So true and true becomes true, and that's why we have printed the result as in true. So we are going to talk about the unary operator with C#. So there are two different type of operators available in this category. One of them is this increment operator, which is referred with this plus plus, and then decrement operator, which is referred with the minus minus. So let's see how does it looks like with an example. So here is the example I have already prepared. So you have the integer x with the value 10. Then what we are doing here in the next line, we are calculating a result with the help of post increment value, and then we have a pre-increment value, which is increasing the value of y before it basically assign the result value. Let me just rerun that. I'll show you what does it means. Maybe it sounds typical, but you will understand how does it looks like. So you can see that initial value of x is having 10, and then a result is also having initial value of the x is having 11, whereas the result is having the value as in 10. Now why is it so? Whereas the value which was assigned to variable x was 10, right? The result when we are assigning, it was assigned to x as such. So by the time when the x was executed by the result, at that point of time the x is having the result value as in 10, and as soon as the compiler exits from this line, the result or the x is incremented by 1, and that is why the x at the next line when we were writing the console output is having the value as in 11, whereas the result when this line was executed was having the value as in 10. That's why the 10 is printed here. Now that's the post increment, which means that it increments the value by 1 after the compiler executes that line of code where the assignment is happened. Whereas in the case of pre-increment value, the increment happens before the compiler executes that line of code. In this case, let's say on line number 17 we have y equal to 10 and result is assigned with plus plus y. In this case, the increment sign are there before the variable, and that is the reason both of them are having the value as in 11. So that is why it is really important to use these operators or these assignment carefully the way you would like to use it in your logic, right? Do you want to increment after these assignments? Do you want to increment before these assignments? So based on that, you should be performing the use of these operators. Similarly, we have an example of plus minus, which is decrementing by 1 post execution, decrementing by 1 pre execution, and that will result into the similar behavior. Let's run that. So we have a increment as in value 9, result as in 10. The reason is it is decreased after the execution, after the value is assigned to result basically. I hope you've seen the difference and trying to understand what exactly we are doing with these assignment. Now let's take an example of these increment and decrement operators together and having a multiplication between these two numbers. So I have x as in value 10, y as in value 20, and z is, let's consider as in result which we would like to calculate. Now what exactly we are doing it here is we are assigning x with post increment and then y with pre increment, and then we are multiplying together, and result we are going to display it on our console window. Let's see what is the result looks like. In this case, the result of the variable 11 is variable x is printed as an 11 because after the execution of this line was incremented by 1, so 10 plus 1 is 11. Y is 19, which is a pre-execution, so we have got 19, and then z we have got 190 because this is a pre-execution, so it is reduced before this z line is executed. So y is 19, and then we have x as in 10, so 19 multiplied by 10, so result we have got is 190. I hope you are getting the point of using these pre and post increment assignment type. Now, one use case of this pre and post increment you will see very often with a for loop, which is this example. In this case, you can see that we are running a for loop in our program on an integer value which is starting from I equals to 0, and it will run the loop unless the value of I is less than 10, and we are incrementing the value of I by using the post increment variable. So let's take a look at the execution of this for loop. Loops, I know we have not discussed about the loops, but we'll talk about that loops in later in the video. But for now, if you pay attention to this increment variable, what is happening here is when the for each loop runs, let me just put a debug breakpoint here to give you an idea. So very first time when loop enters into this for condition or for loop, I is having a value as in 0, the expression matches 0 is less than 10 and the I is still 0. Now let's print this, and once the execution of this for loop completes, which is comes here, then I becomes then code jumps to this particular condition, which means that it's going to increment the value of I with 1. Now as the value of I is incremented by 1, again it is comparing the value with 10, which is true again. Next time again it will go to the third section, which is increment by post increment by plus 1, and then again it goes to 2, 3 and so on, right? So this is how the post assignment or the post increment and pre increments are usually used in the by the Csharp program. Here's the example. So that's about a quick summary of the operators with Csharp. I'm sure you will use many of these operators while you write your programs, and you'll find so much of interesting. Some of the things like post and pre-increment are useful to know when to use and how to use it, and then that will help you to create your own logic in your program. I hope you have found this useful. If it is, please give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more interesting videos on .NET and C#. Thanks for watching it.